Nosk here. Around 6 months ago, Tre Melvin put out a video titled, "White Privilege is a Thing." So, as a privileged white man, I felt the need to give it a little look over and see what kind of arguments or claims that he makes, what evidence he has to support his claims, and provide sufficient rebuttal. First and foremost, however, let's take the Merriam-Webster definition of privilege as a base point from which to view, interpret, as well as respond to what Tre here has to say in his video. Privilege. Noun. A right or benefit that is given to some people and not to others. A special opportunity to do something that makes you proud. The advantage that wealthy and powerful people have over other people in society. Three similar but varying versions of privilege. I think these official definitions provide for a reasonable foundation in which to judge Tre's video with. And with the foundation established, let's begin.
What's up, y'all?
Same shit, different day, Tre. Same shit, different day.
So I woke up today feeling like clocking some bitches.
You've already made me wary of you, Tre. When you wake up wanting to clock some bitches, is that racist? Can I do that? Can I preemptively be wary of a black man like that?
So, as y'all know, it is Black History Month. And throughout the month, I have been and will continue to drag quite a few individuals.
Who honestly says the word individuals that way? Unless you're having a seizure, I can only really chalk it up to stupidity. You don't seem stupid though, Tre. So maybe it was a minor seizure. I don't know. Moving on.
If I sound nasally right now, I apologize. I'm low-key sick as fuck. I just want to start off by giving a huge shout out to white people who understand white privilege.
I think you're going to have to clarify what white privilege is, Tre. You know, for all the good little boys and girls at home.
I can't even begin to express how much I admire white people who don't sit there and act like white privilege isn't a thing, who understand their privilege and how they benefit from their privilege and are vocal about it, because that can't be easy.
No, I'm sure it's not easy, especially when I've never heard anyone actually provide me with a thoroughly descriptive, clarified, succinct explanation of what white privilege actually is. I'd sure like to know how the levels of melanin in my skin somehow gives me privilege. Because if it does, I've been missing out on that shit.
I was high as fuck the other day and I was just sitting there like, wow.
This might explain why you think white privilege is actually a thing then. High as fuck, yo.
As a black man, I obviously understand the black struggle simply because it's my struggle.
We have a second question then. What is the black struggle, and how do you know the experiences and lives of every other black person on Earth? Is there some kind of psychic link, like a hive mind? I gotta say, that would be pretty damn impressive if there were.
And I couldn't possibly wrap my head around this kind of struggle if I was anything but black.
I'm still wondering how the level of melanin in one's skin could endear you with such knowledge in the first place. But I also have to say, that seems a little racist, Tre. Telling me I couldn't know or experience something due to the color of my skin? How judgmental and prejudiced of you.
So for those of you who don't necessarily understand it because you don't feel it, but can acknowledge it and are willing to be educated on our oppression and learn from us and listen to us and fight with us, thank you so much, because I know that it takes a lot to grasp.
So you say that we couldn't understand if we aren't black, but say we can be educated on it? If you can't understand something, then being educated on it won't help, because as you've already established, we can't understand. We can acknowledge, but not understand. Educating us on it would be an effort in futility, since we would evidently be stuck at a roadblock every time if that were the case.
Even as a 23-year-old black man, there's still so much that I have learned and still have to learn about my struggle.
More to learn about your struggle? As in your own personal experience? Or by relying on stories and hearsay from others? If the latter is the case, then I don't believe you can attribute the experience of others to your struggle. That's their struggle. Or is this hearkening back to the whole hive mind thing?
Now, I'm not giving y'all a motherfucking cookie for being good people. You can make bad choices and still be a good person.
Yes, I can. So can you. So can our neighbors. So can a saint or a beggar. Those are called mistakes, Tre.
But I know that it can't be easy to almost be forced to understand something and to fight for something that you don't experience, something that you virtually know nothing about, and something that you never asked for to begin with.
As human beings, we all experience something we didn't want or ask for. That is in some way forced upon us, most of the time. In fact, we all experience these kinds of things quite a lot throughout our lifetimes.
As for the rest of y'all motherfuckers, you don't have to kill someone to be an accessory to a murder. All you gotta do is know about it. All you have to do is be made aware of said murder, and you are automatically tried as an accessory to the crime. By simply having knowledge of the murder, you are in fact helping the murderer either commit the crime, evade detection, or escape. Having knowledge of a murder is just as bad as burying the body.
In what context? If I witness a murder, then refuse to report it, then that is wrong in its own way, yes. It doesn't make me an accessory to it. If I witness a murder and then go to inform the authorities of said murder, I'm not magically an accessory to that murder, even though I actively sought out the authorities about it. The only way I can be an accessory to a murder is if I have somehow been directly or indirectly involved in causing that murder, be it providing safe haven for the murderer knowing full well they committed it, handing the murderer the tools to commit the murder knowing full well what their intentions are, directly asking or paying the murderer to commit the murder. The legal requirements to label someone an accessory to murder are actually quite definitive.
Y'all white privilege doesn't exist, motherfuckers. Y'all all lives matter, motherfuckers, are accessories to the black struggle.
Are you somehow insinuating that simply because of the color of my skin, I am an accessory to the black struggle, comparing it to being an accessory to murder? That's quite the bold statement, Trey. It's almost as if you're saying that simply because I'm white, I am responsible for the deaths of black people, despite the fact I have never in my life, directly or indirectly, been involved with the murder of any black individuals.
You motherfuckers think Black Lives Matter insinuates that other lives don't. No! Black Lives Matter insinuates that Black Lives Matter too. It isn't an anti-white movement, it is a pro-black movement.
Black Lives Matter does not, as you say, insinuate that other lives don't matter. Black Lives Matter, however, does not insinuate that Black Lives Matter too either. If that were the case, then how is the phrase, all lives matter, somehow insinuating that black lives don't matter, when the statement in and of itself is all-inclusive, all-encompassing? If anything, all lives matter more adeptly makes the insinuation that black lives matter too. If somehow Black Lives Matter is only insinuating that Black Lives Matter as well, and is not an anti-white movement, is not a black supremacy movement, then I have a few things to ask you about, Trey. If Black Lives Matter is not a black supremacist anti-white movement, then how do you explain these videos?
Why do white people have a right to affirm their life?
Because all lives have value.
Really? How so? Why does white life have value?
Well, I think my
For
life
who?
has
White?
value.
No, excuse me. For who? Our argument is that white life is wrong.
Why?
Our argument is that we should never affirm white life. That your argument of just
why
affirming
can't we
all
affirm
life in
white
general
life?
is not good, especially not good for black people when white life itself is based
Okay,
off
why
of black
shouldn't we affirm
supremacy.
my life?
You're probably white.
I am white. Why shouldn't we affirm my life?
I don't understand why I have to care about your life anyways.
It's gonna be.
There's no ethical reason as to why white people deserve to live. Affirming black life means that white death has to occur. That's why you should lose this debate and why your life ain't worth affirming.
Should I kill myself, like, under your arguments?
Sure.
Okay. So, should Odie kill himself?
I don't see why not.
Why should we do that? How does that help?
It's ethical.
How is it ethical? We all have some form or another of privilege. Why does that mean we should kill ourselves?
Because you have white privilege.
Why does having white privilege necessarily mean I should kill myself? Why shouldn't I, like, struggle against the structures?
Sure, struggling against the structure means putting yourself on the line, putting your body on the line. Do it. Affirm your suicide. That's cool.
That's very good.
I mean, it's it's one little form, it's one little step in the right direction.
You see this
I
nappy
learned a
ass
lot
hair on
reading
my
the
head?
journalism Alex
But do
Haley,
you see this
one of the best
nappy ass
writers.
hair on my head?
Is that
That
what
means
it-
I'm one of those more militant Negroes. And you know what I'm here for? Because these redneck motherfuckers murdered Sandra Bland because she had nappy hair like me.
I have no doubt. Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck.
We're not the
South,
enemy.
John.
So do you agree with Malcolm X that white people should be killed? Is that why you're here?
You damn right I do.
You do?
You think I'm scared to say that to you?
You think white people
You
should be killed,
motherfuckers
huh?
thought we should be killed when y'all came and stole us from Africa and put us in chains and murdered us for over 400 years. So yeah, you do need to die. I think everybody else on the planet will have peace when you're dead.
Are you responsible for what your parents did?
Listen, I'm talking for me. I answered your question.
All right.
Now I'm done talking because I don't negotiate with fucking terrorists.
Or these statements directly from Black Lives Matter supporters and activists. Knowing that the white genocide is coming makes life in America bearable. The thought alone gets me out of bed every morning. When will niggas stop killing each other and kill whitey? When you rape a white bitch, it's like stealing candy from the store. It ain't a big deal. It happens all the time. I'm gonna kill every white person I see outside 2MA. Whatever the hell 2MA means. I hate you white motherfuckers. Misspelling the word mother for some reason. All whites need to die. This is a black's world. Woke up this morning, got on Twitter, first thing I see is 2 white people got killed. World is becoming a better place. As well as, kill all white men and rape all white girls. Hashtag MLP Season 5. Is he referring to My Little Pony? What the hell does this tweet have to do with My Little Pony? Those are just a few examples. There are countless more like that. And yet somehow, you're going to try and have me believe that Black Lives Matter isn't an anti-white black supremacist group, but I can already hear it. Those people don't represent the Black Lives Matter movement. Not all Black Lives Matter supporters think that way. Not all, fucking tag, not all. These people certainly do represent the movement. They are very loudly and clearly supporters of it, and as such represent the movement regardless of how much you would like to dismiss them to help the movement save face. Not all members and supporters of the movement do or have to think the way these people think, but that does not mean that such sentiments aren't a detriment. It's this very vocal and very outspoken minority of voices in the movement that taint it. Not because these voices in and of themselves have a great effect on the movement, but because overwhelmingly the rest of the Black Lives Matter movement either refuses to acknowledge and condemn these voices, or it simply outright is silent on them. The movement as a whole would rather be more content to shrug these voices off than to combat them, only ensuring that the movement itself is complicit in allowing an infection to make it sick like a cancer and turn it into something else entirely. That was a bit of a rant, I know, and we still have plenty of Tre's video left to cover, so we'll just get right back to it then.
You see, the new face of racism is not in-your-face racism, but structural racism, also known as white privilege.
So you're actually going to sit there and tell me that racism isn't obvious and blatant anymore, but no. It's subtle. It's structural. It's white privilege. Like there's some secret underground bunker off in the wilderness somewhere where white people gathered after the civil rights movement to conspire together to launch a covert war against the black community with code words and subterfuge and random fucking promotions. Give me a break here.
We aren't saying black lives are more meaningful than everyone else's. We are saying black lives are just as meaningful as everyone else's.
So, the exact same thing as all lives matter, except that unlike Black Lives Matter, all lives matter supporters don't feel the need to focus strictly on black people, or use disruptive tactics, violence, threats, or racially charged rhetoric. Oh yeah, what a positive and meaningful organization you've chosen to get into bed with there, Tre.
Black Lives Matter movement isn't about separation or segregation or disengagement. The Black Lives Matter movement is about inclusion.
Not about separation or segregation? All about inclusion? Really? Really, Tre? Really?
Whether you believe it or not, our lives are jeopardized every single day. And we are doing nothing more than bringing awareness to that.
You know who else's lives are in danger, Tre? Everyone. Everyone's lives are always in danger, to some degree, somehow, in some way, for countless reasons and from countless sources. But you want to bring awareness to the danger black lives are in? Well, how about the one massive, glaring issue that Black Lives Matter so desperately refuses to appropriately address? Black-on-black murder rates. In 2014 alone, 2,451 black victims of murder. The races of offenders? Whites, 187. Other and unknown, 59. Black, 2,205. As much as Black Lives Matter tries to avoid the issue and attempt to build on the false narrative that the greatest threat to black lives is whites or police officers, in truth, the largest and most present danger to black lives being tragically cut short is other black people. Overwhelmingly, black men. Don't come bitching to anyone with racially charged and anti-police rhetoric about the dangers to black lives until Black Lives Matter starts addressing the clear and present danger from other black lives.
These analogies have been used before, and I'm going to use them again. Firefighters do not sit and point at burning houses screaming, all houses matter. You don't attend charity banquets that bring awareness to breast cancer and scream, all cancer matters. Or maybe you do, because you're white and you can get away with that.
First off, I'd like to address the long stare with the expression on his face that reads either as arrogant, self-righteous snobbery, or there's the chance he's having a mini-stroke. It does come across as a bit dumbfounded and distant. To address the analogies, however, the first is just plain retarded. It's houses, buildings, inanimate structures. Are you comparing black people to inanimate structures? I don't get it. As for the second, as it actually turns out, yes, all cancers matter. Because it turns out that people aren't houses, they're people. And cancer kills people. Large numbers of them, in fact, in all the vast forms that cancer takes, across all genders, all nationalities, and all races. Nobody is standing up at a breast cancer fundraiser, however, and yelling, "Oh, cancers matter." That's moronic, and nobody has ever done that. That's why there are different fundraisers and grants to fund research into different cancers. They have to be studied separately. If you're going to try and throw a rebuttal at anyone who thinks all lives matter, you're going to have to come up with some better and more constructive analogies.
I don't even have words for black people who do not support Black Lives Matter, for black people who have the audacity to spit in the faces of your brothers and your sisters with that all lives matter bullshit.
Because apparently, black people aren't allowed to be individuals, have independent thoughts or opinions, or be able to think for themselves and believe what they want to. No, they must all think, believe, and breathe the every message and whim of the grand black hive mind. Therein lies one of the biggest issues with this kind of collectivist mindset. It always falls into the trap of, you're either with us or you're against us, where everything is this or that, black or white, pineapple or no pineapple on your pizza. There is no room in a collectivism for independent thought or self-determination. And so inevitably, and rather quickly, the collective lashes out, turning not only against their main targets, but also against everyone who doesn't agree with them, until finally turning against itself, in the end in a severe psychotic spiral of self-destruction.
But you white motherfuckers, you kill me. Again, thank you for those of you who do understand, who do listen, who do have our backs. But as for the rest of you, you fucking kill me. You don't know a damn thing about what it means to be black, how it feels to be black, how little our existence truly matters in this country that was literally built for the success and the survival of the white man.
Again with the racism, Trey. I really do think you're in desperate need of some therapy. However, I guess you could be right in a certain sense. We don't know or understand what it means to be black in this country. We couldn't possibly know what it means to be part of black culture. It's entirely possible. But because blacks are people too, just like everyone else in this country, we at least know damn well what it means to be a person in the United States. Black, white, Hispanic, or otherwise. Unless you're somehow inferring that black people aren't actually people. Why you gotta go and degrade black people like that, Trey? Huh? Why you gotta be so racist, my nigga?
You don't click on these videos that attempt to explain this shit to you, to listen. You don't click on these videos to get an idea of what the fuck we're talking about. You don't click on these videos to understand where we're coming from.
It raises an interesting concept, though. If white people can't understand what it means to be black in this country, then do you believe black people can't understand what it means to be white? I mean, the correlation is there. It would make sense. It would make even more sense, actually, that you would harbor this kind of assumption of white privilege then and white people. White people aren't privileged. Black people aren't oppressed. It's all just a huge misunderstanding because whites can't understand what it's like to be black, and blacks can't understand what it's like to be white. There we go. I'll figure it out then. Hey, everyone, we figured it out. You can all calm down and go home now.
You click on these videos to argue simply because our argument makes you uncomfortable. You click on these videos to tell us that we're wrong, that we're over exaggerating, when you don't have to worry about becoming victim to both law enforcement and the judicial system alike.
It actually doesn't make me uncomfortable in the slightest. In reality, I click on these videos because you're such an easy source of material to argue against. Since with just a little bit of research and even a modicum of rational thought, your content is so fun and easy to refute. And by the way, Tre, yes, we click to argue, because even you are not above criticism, you egotistical, self-absorbed fuck. There's a rather distinct difference between thinking that you're right with no data to back up your arguments and knowing you're right because the data supports it. We don't tell you you're wrong to spite you or because we're some big, mean racist who just want to call the black guy dumb. We tell you you're wrong because, well, you're just plain wrong. As for the law enforcement and judicial system nonsense, do I really need to pull out the crime statistics? Do you expect me to believe that white people are somehow and magically never arrested or killed by the police? Do I really have to remind you of how black people commit a vastly disproportionate amount of crime and so are vastly more likely to be in contact with law enforcement and thus be disproportionately in prison or jail? I think I do. So here you go, Tre. Go ahead and pause where you need to in order to get a good long look at it. Moving on then.
You don't have to worry about your teenage son's unjustified death being mocked.
Of course we do. Everyone does. Because inevitably, someone, somewhere, for whatever reason, is going to mock it, regardless of the color of their skin.
You don't have to worry about informing your children of the harsh realities of systematic racism.
Because systemic, you meant systemic, Tre, racism doesn't exist in this country or any modern, democratic, pluralistic, diverse society like ours.
You don't have to worry about being articulate and well-spoken without people being surprised.
Really? Maybe you get out of your big fancy flat in the big city and head on down to Cajun country or any rural part of the United States. You'd be amazed how many people aren't very articulate. It's just as much of a surprise to hear articulate speech coming from a stereotypical white hillbilly as it is from a stereotypical black thug.
You don't have to worry about what you wear or how you act or how you carry yourself without being labeled an idiot, a thug, a lowlife, a gangster.
Little secret for you, Tre. It turns out we're actually very visual creatures who always make initial judgments first and foremost on appearance. If the way you're dressed and acting and carrying yourself, oh yeah, and it turns out that body language matters a lot too, seems suspicious or aggressive, then you and everyone else will be judged for it. White, black, Hispanic, Asian, Native American, etc. Everyone gets judged this way. Black people are not special in this regard.
You don't have to worry about your hair or your skin color or your cultural accessories as the reason why you didn't get a fucking job.
All of the jobs I've ever been turned down for would beg to differ, honestly. Turns out most places don't want to hire a man with long hair. Skin color, that's not an issue. That's actually illegal. Look it up. I'm totally serious. It's actually illegal. As for cultural accessories, what kind of crazy-ass accessories are you wearing to job interviews? Is it really so hard to dress clean, ensure you have good hygiene and attire? Look professional?
You don't have to worry about being monitored in stores just because the hue of your skin is a bit darker than most.
Not because it's darker, no. But you wouldn't believe how many times I've been monitored in stores run by Asians and Indians because I'm white and have long hair and don't always look my best.
You don't have to ever worry about being labeled a terrorist when, to my knowledge, you obtained and built and sustained this motherfucking country via terrorism.
So now all white people are terrorists. Ooh. The white people are terrorists and evil because slavery argument. I'd like to use your own logic from earlier about being accessories to murder.
Countless people from every race, of every color, and every civilization throughout history took part in the use or benefit of slavery. So every person of every race, color, and nationality is an accessory to murder for not recognizing that fact.
You don't have to worry about being affected by negative stereotypes that have been perpetuated and ingrained so much into American society that people believe them to be fact.
White people can't jump, white people can't dance, white people don't season their chicken, all white people are racists.
You don't have to worry about explaining why cultural appropriation is a bad thing.
Because it's not appropriation, it's appreciation. And that's not a bad thing.
You don't have to worry about speaking on any particular subject without being the sole representative for your entire race.
Guys, did you hear the good news? Tre Melvin says people like Rush Limbaugh, David Duke, and Ted Nugent don't represent all of us. It does seem rather egotistical of you then, Tre, to in some manner presume that you're the voice of all black people. I didn't think you were. Are you, though?
You don't have to worry about whether the color of your skin will get you into trouble or possibly murdered whenever you leave your motherfucking house.
Tell that to all the white people and police officers murdered by black people just for being white. Like this. This. Or this.
You don't have to worry about being told to get over slavery, or Jim Crow, or segregation in schools, and jobs, and neighborhoods, as if it does not affect every single aspect of your life to this day.
To this day, I didn't know slavery was still a thing in this country. I could have sworn it was abolished with the 13th Amendment. Huh. Well, I mean, I guess if it's still around and you seem to be saying that it is, then I have a question for you, Tre. How much for you and your mother?
You can walk the earth unaware of the color of your skin, unaware of your whiteness. You have the ultimate amount of privilege, yet you dare challenge me? You dare challenge whether or not my black struggle is justified? Fuck you!
I'd rather you not, Tre. AIDS is a big problem with the black men, don't you know? However, your point falls a bit flat right away. I can't wander wherever I please in South America, Central America, Africa, or Asia, definitely not Antarctica, being unaware of the color of my skin or my privilege. Not a shit ton of white people around there, you know. It wouldn't stop me from getting treated poorly, or threatened, or harmed. The only reason I'm generally safer in a Western modern society like here or Europe is because these societies just happen to be the happiest, most free, most advanced, and most diverse parts of the world where our rule of law and acceptance of others ensures that everyone, regardless of skin color, is as safe as they can reasonably be.
Fuck you!
Again, Tre, I'd rather you not. I don't know where that mangina of yours has been. Also, I think he may have gone and had another mini stroke or seizure right there at the end. I'm dead serious. Tre, I really think you ought to get checked out for that for your own benefit.
This is going to be a really hard pill for some of you to swallow. If you support All Lives Matter, you are racist. And I'm not just pulling the race card or whatever the fuck that means. Allow me to explain this shit to you.
Please do. Because I just love to hear your reasoning for All Lives Matter being racist.
The All Lives Matter movement, first of all, isn't a movement and is doing absolutely nothing to prove that all lives, in fact, do matter. Talk. That's all the hell y'all All Lives Matter motherfuckers do. Talk is cheap, bitch.
Then you must be the cheapest whore around then, Tre. But please, by all means, do continue.
And by changing Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter, you are disassociating black people from equality, which is what the fuck our movement is all about.
Separating black lives from all lives isn't racist, but including it with all lives is, and putting black lives into All Lives Matter, including them and treating them as equal. That's disassociating black people from equality. What the complete and utter fuck kind of mental gymnastics is going on here?
You are belittling our struggle. You are patronizing our struggle. You are mocking our struggle, and you are ignoring our struggle.
I'd be more inclined to say you had a point if you or anyone else ever actually explained what the struggle is and support it with data and the facts, instead of just repeating our struggle constantly as if hopefully our brains will be suddenly tricked and will believe the phrase of its own lack of merit. 3 times Tre, 3 times key, remember?
And ignorance equals compliance. Ignorance equals consent. You are consenting to our Black struggle, and that, my friend, is racism. Mind-boggling, isn't it?
See previous rebuttal. Maybe it boggles your mind, Tre, and there he went again with the long, distant gaze. I'm completely serious at this point. Someone send this man an ambulance.
These aren't opinions. These are facts.
Provide the data. Provide the statistics. Provide the studies. Provide the information. Without anything to support or legitimize your claims, they are, on the contrary, Tre, just opinions.
This is the country, this is the world that we live in. Oh, but it gets better.
Oh, I sure hope so, because since before and after around the 3.5-minute mark, you honestly were just starting to bore me.
You can ignore and deny everything that I've just said, and you can go on about your lives, and absolutely nothing will change. Your life, your future will remain completely and utterly intact.
As it should, and as it will.
While my life, and my future children's lives, and my people's lives, and the lives of my people's children depend oh so greatly on how much your people care about us. And
it doesn't speak highly of you or your people if no matter what, you place the responsibility for your lives on others rather than taking the responsibility for your own lives into your own hands. Personal responsibility and all that, Tre.
This marvelous country that was built on white supremacy and the lie of freedom and equality and opportunity. That's how much power you have.
Somehow, I doubt I could walk into the Capitol and get whatever I want or have whatever I decide be done simply because of the color of my skin. I could try, if you'd like.
And 90% of the white people that I'm specifically addressing right now will have listened to all of this and heard absolutely nothing. And you'll go about your lives changing Black Lives Matter to All Lives Matter. Oh, and you won't even bring up All Lives Matter unless you catch someone bringing up Black Lives Matter. And you'll live happily ever after with your paper-cut lips and your unseasoned chicken.
What was that you said earlier about stereotypes, Tre? But either way, if I had to take a guess as to why 90% of white people could watch this entire video and not get anything from it, it may be that most white people just somehow know how to sniff out bullshit. I don't know, but hell, anything is possible, right?
Ignoring every ounce of Black struggle while unknowingly benefiting from every ounce of Black struggle. That's privilege.
It really isn't. Since I'm about 100% sure that black people aren't suddenly every innovator, inventor, artist, philosopher, etc. in the full history of the modern world or this country. And I'm ignoring the struggle part simply because on the basis it's only repeated, but not explained or substantiated, as mentioned earlier. I'll also ignore the last 54 seconds of the video as well, since it's just some credits and an outro. On a final note, however, I feel I have to make this point rather clear. You can, Tre, and others like him, make all the claims you want. You can consistently insist that you and your views are correct all you want. You can say all that you want to, that what you're claiming are the facts and truths. But you should also bear in mind that until you can support and substantiate your claims with data, statistics, and studies, etc., rather than simply repeating them ad nauseum, then words are all they will ever be. Empty, hollow, baseless. Unlike you and all your social justice, regressive leftist, collectivist, cultural, Marxist friends and supporters, there are a great many of us who demand more than simply being told to listen and believe.